Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable crochet drawstring backpack. So in last week's video I showed you how to make these basic daisy crochet granny squares. Today I'm going to show you how to turn these cute little squares into this adorable drawstring backpack. This is so cute and easy. I'll show you how to make the drawstring I-cord super easy and how to sew all of our little squares together into this cute project. I covered supplies in last week's video, so you don't need anything new. So I will go ahead and put them on the screen right here, but everything you had from last week's video is going to carry into this week's video. You don't need anything new or any more yarn. If you haven't made the Crochet Daisy Granny Squares, head back to last week's video. I'll put a link somewhere right here. You can head back, make those squares. You need 18 of the daisy squares to make this little backpack. If you haven't made them yet or seen that video, head back. I will link it somewhere on the screen right here. Head back over, watch that video, get 18 of these cute little squares made up, and then come back and watch this finishing video to turn them into a cute backpack. All right, let's go ahead and dive into today's tutorial. In last week's video, I showed you how to make these cute little daisy squares, and I have a couple little samples here that we're going to be working with today. Today we're going to be putting them together in a panel, and I have 2 panels made, but I'm going to show you how I put those together today. And if you would like another way to put these together, I do show 3 varieties of ways to put together your granny squares in my previous granny square tote video, so I will link that here as well, and you can check that out if you don't like how this method ends up looking. So today we're going to be joining our squares together using a slip stitch method. You can also do a single crochet to join these. It'll make a little bit more of a ridge between them. You can do a mattress stitch to sew them together, and then you won't be able to see that join at all. They'll just be like literally right next to each other. But I'm going to do the single crochet, and it does give you this little bit of a ridge look right here, and I like how that looks, so that's what we are going with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my squares wrong sides together, and if you look at your crochet square, you can see the top edge of the stitches right here, and it just looks nice and pretty and finished. That's going to be your your right side, kind of like right side on a fabric. If you flip it over, the back side, I think you can tell pretty easily that these stitches are flatter. You can't see that top ridge, and it just looks like the back side. So we're going to keep our pretty side out. So front side's out, so we're going to place our wrong sides of both of these squares together. And then I just line up these corners. You can see they should be the exact same amount of stitches. So each stitch along this front square should have a corresponding stitch along that back square. And so just try and keep them nice and straight, and then just work one stitch at a time as you go, and it's super easy. So to join, I'm actually going to stick my hook in the corner space of my first square. I'm going to find the corner space of my second square and just stick my hook in there. That way I know I'm starting off on the same spot. I'm going to lay my yarn over my hook and give myself a tail, and then just pull that loop through. So just like this. And then I'm going to yarn over with both of my strands, so my tail plus my working yarn, and just pull that through to join them. And now I can drop my tail out of the way. It's secured, and now I can go ahead and stitch down my squares to join them together. Now I'm going to stitch in the back loop of both of my squares. So if we're looking at our stitches, 2 legs of our stitch, this is the front loop, this one right here is the back loop. I'm only going to be going through the back loops. You can go through both loops, but it does create an even different look, so there's lots of ways to join these squares. So I'm going to take my hook and just go through this first stitch, that back leg of that first stitch. And then here's the first stitch on my other square here, so I'm just going to go through that one. So I'm going through the back leg of both, so it should look something like that. I'm going to yarn over and just pull through, and then we're joined. And then we can just weave this tail in when we're done. The next thing we're going to do is just continue slip stitching both of these squares together all the way down. So again, go into my back loop, again, go into the back loop, yarn over, and just pull through. So super easy, and I just do 1 stitch at a time, and I just find that back loop on both, and I just go down, like I said, 1 stitch at a time. So it's really fast once you get going and once you start being able to identify that back loop. So you have your 3 stitches, yarn over, and pull through, and then we're just going to work our way down, joining these stitches, each one at a time. And every now and then I'll just stop and grab my corners and just make sure I look like I have about the same amount of stitches left. I do, so I think we're okay. If you don't and you have to either skip over a stitch or double up on a stitch or something, it's totally fine. You'll never be able to tell in your end product. But if you made all your squares the same, you should have the same exact amount of stitches. Now I do grab this last one. Here's my last triple crochet on this corner. So I do grab that last one, and then I'm also gonna go in the corner, and then so just yarn over and join. And so now I'll just grab 2 more squares, put them wrong sides together. I'll stick my hook into those spaces, the corner spaces, and then just join those with a slip stitch and keep on going for however many rows I need. You could do a whole blanket like this if you want it. So we're going to join those together, 3, 3, and 3. What you just saw now is I joined these 2 squares, I added these 2, and then I went back and added this final row, and then I did the horizontal rows. And same thing, I just join in the corner and slip stitch all the way across. When I get to this corner section right here, I have my slip stitch in this first corner, and you can see my yarn just goes over and I just slip stitch into the next corner and just keep going. So nothing fancy. All right, so you're going to make 2 panels that are 9 squares, so 3 by 3. You're going to be making 2 of those panels, and we're going to sew these 2 together to make our bag. So I'm going to sew them wrong sides together. It's obviously really easy to see now which side is the right side and the wrong side, because our right side has this bridge between our squares, and the wrong side almost has like a divot now in between our squares. So we're going to place our panels wrong sides together so the pretty side is out. We're going to join in this top corner. We're going to do a single crochet in each stitch around, going through that back loop just like we did, all the way back up to this top edge. And then when we get back to the top, I'll show you how we're going to handle the top of our bag to create a casing for our drawstring. We do have these little divots. It does pull out a little bit when you block it, but we are going to add just a little bit of a taller stitch right here in this dip to make sure that we even it out really nicely. So we're going to just start off in any corner. It doesn't matter, and since this is a square, it doesn't really matter which way you go either. I'm going to place my hook into the corner space on this panel and into the corner space on this panel. Again, we're going to grab our yarn and we're going to lay that yarn over our hook, leaving a little bit of a tail. I leave about 6 inches or so. We're going to pull that yarn through, yarn over with both strands, and pull through just to join it. And now we can drop that tail and we can just weave this end in when we're done. And now we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. I like doing a single crochet because I think it just gives it a nice little border. And we're going to be doing a single crochet, and I'm still going to be going in the back loop of each stitch. So grab that back loop and that back loop. And you can go through both legs of your stitches if you want. It just gives it a little bit of a different look. So we're going to yarn over and pull through, and so now we have those 2 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through to complete that single crochet. So that's our first single crochet. Again, grab those back 2 loops, yarn over. So you have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through. And we're just going to do that all the way down. The other thing you could do on this that I think would be cute would be a half double crochet. You could even do like a double crochet, or you could do like a little ruffle. There's all kinds of ways to finish off this bag, but I'm just going to go for something simple today. But now you can see we've got this nice simple edge. We've got our squares joined together, and it just looks really nice and clean. All right, so we're going to keep going down this edge till we get to our first corner space. All right, so we're at our first spot where we have 2 squares joined together. So we're going to do 2 double crochets together. The double crochet is a little bit of a taller stitch, so that'll help with this valley that you see here. And then also it'll just join this area together so you don't have, it won't be looking like 2 separate things. So to do a double crochet, we're just going to yarn over. I'm going to go into both spaces, the corner spaces for both my front and back panel. Yarn over and pull up a loop, so we've got 3. Yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to just wait and leave that on our hook. We're going to yarn over, and now we're going to go into the corner spaces of our second panel. Again, through both the front and back panel, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, so we've got 3 on our hook now. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 to join that area together. Those double crochets make it just slightly taller, and then it gets rid of any divot you might have there from your blocks being not completely square. And then now we can continue down just doing single crochets down the rest of our side. And you're going to handle each valley where 2 squares are joined together in that same way with a double crochet, 2 double crochets together. And let's just take a quick look at it right there. You can see that that join right there looks nice and flat now, so we don't have this little divot space that we had before. So that just takes care of that. Okay, we're at our next valley where our squares have been put together. So again, we're going to yarn over, go through both, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and leave it, yarn over, go through both corner spaces, yarn over and pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then join by pulling through all 3. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going till I hit this corner down here. We're going to do 2 single crochets in that corner, so I'll show you what that looks like. All right, we're at our first corner, and I like to go around these corners with 2 single crochets. So you're going to go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and then I like to turn my work so that I'm now heading down the side. So again, another single crochet in there. So pull up a loop, and then that just gets us around the corner, and now we can continue on doing our single crochets down each stitch. All right, so here's what our edge looks like. You can see it looks really nice and finished now. We started right here at this top corner, worked our way down, and then we did 2 double crochet together in each of the valleys, and then down here at the corner we did 2 single crochets in that corner to get us around the edge. I'm going to go ahead and finish working my way down the bottom and back up the other side of our bag, and then I'll meet you right back up here and I'll show you how to handle this top edge for our backpack. Okay, so I started up here. We have our tail. I've made it all the way down, across the bottom, and back up to our top. And we're not going to cut our yarn. We're actually just going to leave that on our hook and keep going. But instead of joining them together now we're going to be working across the top edge of our bag. So obviously we want that open. So we're going to start off by chaining 2. And we're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch around for 2 rounds. A half double crochet is a yarn over. We're going to go into both legs of our stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, so again, close up, we're going to yarn over, we're going to go into both legs of our top stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's your half double crochet, and we're going to do that in each stitch around the top edge of our bag. That's just going to give us a nice top edge that looks nice and finished. It's also going to give us a little bit of height for our drawstring section. And then now we're at the first join between our 2 squares. We're going to do exactly what we did on our sides. So we're going to yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go into that corner space, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then join to pull through all 3. And then we're going to go back to our half double crochet in each stitch around. And then when we go around for our second pass, we can just do our half double crochets. We don't need to do that taller stitch to get rid of that divot. Is divot the right word? Valley. And now we're getting to our first corner space where we had joined our 2 panels. I'm actually going to handle that the same way as if we handled this one. Okay, so here's the side of our bag. You can see our tail here. You can also weave this tail in as you go now if you would like. But again, we're going to yarn over, go through the corner, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, skip over here, yarn over, go into that corner space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 to join. So you're just handling this side join the same way you did your main panel join. And now I'm going to leave my tail right here, and I'm actually just going to go over my tail as I continue on with my half double crochets in each stitch. So I'm going through my stitch, but also just have that tail laying on top of there so it just gets caught in my yarn when I do that stitch. And then I don't have to weave those ends in later. All right, so we're back to where I started. You can see we've got that nice row of half double crochets here, and we've got our last corner. Since we're at a corner, I'm going to do a double crochet in there. So yarn over, go through that space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That'll give us the height we need to get back up to our first stitch. We can go through that stitch and then just join with a slip stitch, and then we have a nice join right there. Okay, now we're going to just chain up 2 we're going to yarn over, and we're going to do again another round of half double crochets all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. At this point, you don't need to do anything fancy at those join spaces because it's already been taken care of. So we're just going to half double crochet in each stitch around, so we have 2 rounds of this half double crochet. All right, I've done my last half double crochet in that last stitch, and now I'm back to where we started. So I'm going to go ahead and just go into my top of my chain 2 at the beginning, yarn over, and I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to finish that off. And here's what our bag is looking at. We have a really nice top edge here. Now you can continue for these next couple of rounds using this same main bag color, but I thought it'd be fun to have a contrast color here for my casing area, and then I'm going to do my drawstring in a different color as well. I thought that would be really cute, and then I'll finish it back off with blue at the top. So I'm going to cut my yarn at this point, but if you want to continue on with your same color yarn, you're just going to chain 2, and then we're going to continue on with our steps. So I'm going to go ahead though, like I said, and end my yarn right here. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through a little bit of a tail, cut that off, and set that yarn aside. And I'm going to grab my white yarn next, and I think I'm going to do the drawstring in the yellow amber yarn. I think that will be really cute. Okay, so I have cut my yarn. I'm actually going to weave this in as I go, so I'm not going to weave that tail in, but you definitely could. I'm going to go ahead and join in this corner space, lay my yarn over my hook and just pull it through. I'm going to yarn over with both strands, pull it through to join it. I can drop this tail, and I can actually weave in both of these tails as we go. Okay, and now we're just going to chain 1, so yarn over and just do that chain. Now we're going to single crochet in each stitch around, and that's just going to give us a foundation for our drawstring section. So again, I'm going to go into both legs of my stitch. I'm going to lay my tails on top. I'm just going to be weaving those in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. And we're just going to do that all the way around, and I'm just going to go over my tails until they're woven in, and you can decide how far you want to go. I usually just go till I run out of tail, so it kind of depends, or if I get annoyed and they're just in my way. So I'm going to just do single crochets all the way around. That's going to give us a little foundation row for our drawstring. So here we are. I've made it back to my starting chain, so I'm just going to go ahead and go into the top of that chain and just join with a slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 2, and now we're going to make our little holes for our drawstring. Now we're going to do a series of 3 double crochets, chain 1 and skip a stitch, 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip a stitch. That chain 1, skip a stitch is going to make us a cute little hole for our drawstring to go through. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go through both legs of our stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's 1. We're going to do 2 and 3. So we've got 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1 and skip this next stitch, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets in the following stitch. So we're skipping this one right here. So we're going to yarn over, skip that stitch, go into this next one with a double crochet. And as you can see, we've created a little hole there for our drawstring. So we're going to repeat that all the way across. 3 double crochets, chain 1 and skip 1. So here's my second double crochet, third, chain 1 and skip 1, and go into this next one. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I'll do my last one. So there we've got our 3 double crochets, and then we have created these little openings for our drawstring. So I'm back around to the front. I just finished 3 double crochets and a chain 1. I have 2 spaces left, so I'm going to yarn over, do a double crochet in each one, and then here's our initial chain. I'm going to go ahead and go into that chain and just join with a slip stitch, just like that, and then we'll have that'll make like a little bit of an opening there, and that should create a nice even space for our drawstring. If for some reason you have an odd number of stitches based, maybe you did an extra one when you joined these squares, don't stress out about it. Just get it as close as you can at these last few stitches. This is the side of the bag, so nobody's ever really going to even notice that. All right, so now we're going to do one more round of single crochets to finish off this drawstring section. So I'm just chaining one, and then again I'm just going to go ahead and do a single crochet in each stitch around. When you get to your first hole space, I go ahead and just go into that hole, do a single crochet, and then just go into the next stitch and keep on going. All right, so I've made it all the way around with my single crochets. Here is my starting chain right here. I'm going to go ahead and just join with a slip stitch, pull through a tail, trim off that contrast yarn, tighten it up, and then here's where we're at with the top of the bag. So we've got our 2 rows of half double crochets, a row of single, the drawstring row, and then a row of single crochets. And then now I'm going to do 2 more rows of half double crochets in my main bag color just to finish this off, and then I'll show you how to make our drawstring cord. So I'm going to go ahead and join over here on the side just because that's what we've been doing. So I'm just going into that space. I'm going to grab my main bag color now, get that tail out of my way, pull up a loop, yarn over with both, pull through, and now I can drop my tails, and I can weave these tails in again as I'm going. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do half double crochets in each stitch around, and a half double crochet again is just yarn over, go into both legs of that stitch and over my tails, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. Yarn over. I'm going to go into both legs of my stitch. I'm also laying my tail across, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I'm just going to keep weaving in those tails so that I don't have to do that later. All right, and we are back to our start. So I just have 1 half double crochet left. All right, so we're back around to our start. Ignore the fact that this cord is already on. I changed my mind on how I wanted to finish the top edge of this bag. So just pretend like this isn't here for now. So I am just cutting into the video in the future. So we finished all the way around. We're just going to join to the top of our first chain with a slip stitch. We're going to chain 2, and I'm going to do 1 more round of half double crochets in each stitch around. So that's what it's looking like. I'm going to go ahead and finish, and I'll meet you back up when we get back to where we started. So I'm back around to my starting chain, and I'm just going to join in the top of that chain with a slip stitch. So this is what the top edge of the bag is looking like right now, and you could definitely be done here, but I just couldn't leave this bag plain. So we're going to do a cute little scalloped border along the top. This is totally optional, and again, don't worry that our I-cord is already in here. I will be showing you how to make that in the next step. So for this last round of our top edge of our bag, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to join in the following stitch with a slip stitch. So chain 3, skip a stitch, slip stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around our bag. So again, chain 1, 2, 3, skip this next stitch and go into the following stitch with a slip stitch. Chain 1, 2, 3. We're skipping this stitch and going into this next stitch. And we're going to just do that all the way around the top edge of the bag. All right, so I've made it all the way back around. I've just done my last chain 3, and here's our first chain 3. I'm actually just going to join in that same space with a slip stitch. That'll complete my scallops. If for some reason you don't have a stitch that you can skip here, it's okay. Just join wherever your first one was and it'll be fine. It's on the side of the bag. No one will ever notice. Now we're going to go ahead and yarn over, pull out a tail, clip our yarn, and now we can just weave this end in. And here is what the top edge of that bag looks like. It's just a little finishing touch. It's not super over the top, but I think it does give it a really cute top edge. All right, now let's go ahead and get started making our I-cord for our drawstrings. Now you can make this drawstring portion any size you like. Depends on how big of a person you're making this bag for. So that's the beauty of this. We're going to go ahead and create a slip knot. So again, just make that loop, pull your tail through, and tighten it up, and you can put your hook on. Next, we're going to chain anywhere from like 250 to maybe 280 stitches. It really depends on your yarn weight, your hook size, and also your recipient. So you might need to customize this portion for your recipient. This tutorial is for an average size adult, so if you're making it for a child, I would definitely chain less. But you're gonna wanna make a rope that's approximately 60 inches long, and we're gonna be making 2 of those ropes. Now here's a little tip, you don't have to count all of those chains. Just keep going until your rope measures approximately 60 inches long. All right, so here is my rope. It's approximately 60 inches long. We're going to now work back down the back side of our chains with a slip stitch. And to get started, we're coming out of this first stitch right here, so we're going to go into this next one. You can either go into the stitch, if that's easier, or you can go into the bump on the back side. And sometimes it's easier to see those bumps than it is the chains. So you can do whichever you prefer. I think I'm going to go ahead and just go in the chain, but you're going to go into that chain, join with a slip stitch, and that's going to be the end. And now we're going to go into each chain all the way down. Oops. And now we're going to continue going into each chain all the way down with a slip stitch. And these get pulled, so as you get going, the chains get just slightly tighter. So I highly recommend being a little bit loose for your initial chain, but it's not too bad. We're just slip stitching in each stitch all the way back down our chain. And so here we are creating a cute little rope that we're going to be using for our drawstring for our bag. So you're going to be making 2 of these ropes. Mine are going to both be 60 inches long. Yours might vary, but you are going to need 2 of them. All right, I'm all the way back. I just have one more to do, so I'm going to just do that last. Just like that. I'm going to yarn over and just pull through a tail and cut my yarn. And just pull that tail tight so we have 2 little tails hanging off the edge. So here's what my cord looks like, and you're going to need to make 2 cords that are the same length. Okay, so now we're going to take our bag and we're going to take one of our cords and fold it in half so that these 2 ends meet. And we're going to run it through our bag and back out the other side. So our raw tails are on this end, and then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to run it the opposite direction. So our open tails are going to be coming out of both sides. So hopefully that's not too confusing, but I'm going to start and I'm just going to weave in and out. So I'm going to start in, let's start here. We're going to go in, out, in, out. So just like that. So here's one side. And by the way, if you don't want to make this into a backpack, you could absolutely just attach these to the bottom, and when you cinch it up, it'll just be like an over one shoulder bag, but we're going to make ours into a backpack. So I just like to try now at this point, just make sure that your ends are pretty even. So I'll just even out that end. I need to pull this one just slightly. And it's easier to do this before you get both of them in there, by the way. All right, so here's our first one in. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one, but we're going to weave it through the opposite direction. So here's what it looks on the sides. So here are my 2 drawstrings on this side, and then here are the 2 on the opposite side. Okay, and then we're going to take our drawstrings. We're going to use these tails, and I'm just going to place my tails through that corner space, just like that. And then I'm going to use one tail, and I'm going to weave through the end of our drawstring. I'm going to tie it in a knot just to secure it. And then I can take this tail and just weave it in going up that cord. And I'm going to go up a few, make sure it's secure, and then I'll turn around and come back down. Just to secure that loop. And then I will weave in this end going up the other side of the cord, and that just makes everything nice and secure. So now our straps joined, we just need to repeat that with these straps down here in the opposite corner. And here we go. Here is our finished bag. I think that top turned out really cute. I love that we chose to do the cords in the contrast color. I think it's adorable, and the drawstring casing section in the white as an accent. And then here's the bottom of our bag. And then of course, to close up your bag, you just pull your drawstrings, keeps all your goodies nice and secure. And then to open it, again, you just pull on that. I have a few ends left to weave in, and then I am going to line this bag. I do have a video here on YouTube on how to line these, so I will link that below as well. And I will also include instructions on how to line this bag in the full pattern, which you can get in my store at store.confessionsofahomeschooler.com. So that's it, everyone. This cute little backpack is so easy to make. It finishes at about 12 by 12, so it's not super huge. It's like a cute little book bag or purse size bag. You could always make this larger if you wanted, just by adding more squares. If you do that, keep in mind you probably want to make your I-cord drawstrings a little bit longer as well. This fits my teenage daughter and myself. I'm about 5'3". She's about the same height. If you make this cute bag, make sure to tag me in social media and also share it in our Sew With Me group on Facebook. I'll put a link below this video where you can get to that group. We have a lot of fun sharing our finishes and makes in there. Everybody's super encouraging, and it's always a lot of fun to see what you all are up to. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video. You need 18 of the Crochet Daisy granny squares to make this tote bag. That's not a tote bag. If you haven't made the Crochet Daisy granny squares, make sure to now we can continue down just doing single crochets. Last round of our top edge of our bag, we are going to get our yarn together. Here's where I recommend putting on a good movie and just hanging out or visiting with family. This is pretty mindless work, but it does take just a minute.